What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your sun sign horoscopes for this full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Hope everybody's doing well. I appreciate you for tuning in. If you catch the live, great. If not, well, they'll be here, and eventually they will be time-stamped sometime later today. So appreciate you all. Hope everybody's doing well. What a lunar eclipse we have. Seeing a lot of, I'm calling it a karmic cleanout at this point, because there's definitely a lot of cleaning out being done in this collective 12th house. Pluto coming back into Capricorn, finishing up. A lot of things to identify, a lot of cycles, new cycles beginning, peak out of energy. It's a lot. So let's take a look at these sun signs and see what's up for them. Start with Aries, as we typically do. Maybe I'll move me over here a little bit. Cool. All right. Appreciate you guys for catching the live. What up, Siren? What up, Heidi? Lisa? Good to see you guys. All right. Let's jump in, Aries. Let's jump into it. You get a full moon lunar eclipse in your 12th. Saturn's there. It's a 10-degree orb. Definitely a big deal. This is especially for you a big clean out. There's so many things getting ready to kick off in life, so many things getting ready to start, but we got to close some doors here too. And I think know when we're pushing our ego too hard. Yes, the North Node's in your sign, but Mars is also square these nodes. And I think that there's a lot of like ego checks happening for Aries right now, where you're having to really move not so much from an instinctive place or just a powerful go get it place, but from a very like intuitive place, a very emotionally secure place, and really, knowing when it's just not working out. It's just not working. Something needs to change. I need to evolve. I need to be able to adapt in a positive way. It's the 6th house. The sun's there. We're still in Virgo season. So there's like a big karmic clean out, especially for Aries. There's a lot your ego can want, but is it the best thing for your soul? Is it the best thing for a mission with Pluto back in the 10th house? So Aries is in an interesting position right now where you have to trust yourself and you have to feel secure in yourself. And you can't be too hard on yourself, but you also have to be really honest about things. You want balance. You want to relate well with others. Well, you have to really focus on what's best internally for you and spiritually for you, and where the universe is trying to open up doors and where God's trying to show you the light, or where you're literally being shown hell, where you're being shown where things are not working. And you got to be honest about that and not hard on yourself and not in a place of feeling scared or afraid or, paralyzed, but from an empowering place that you can make the changes necessary and that you are safe to change. You are safe to be fully authentically yourself and to not have to put on some kind of a weird front or do some kind of stupid thing that you know is stupid for yourself. But you're like, I just think I could get away with it. Because there's not a lot of getting away with it right now, especially for you. And it's not about getting away with it with other people. It might seem like that. It might manifest that way, or getting away with it here, or I could probably not do this, or I could probably do this and nobody will know. Like it's more of an unseen check. Like there's something else watching right now saying you better not. Even with Jupiter in your 3rd house, you could think square the sun, and Mercury in your 6th, right in the midpoint. They're both, Mercury and the sun are both squaring. So Jupiter's squaring the midpoint of the sun Mercury for this, right? So you could just think, sure, it'll be fine. Even though you know in your soul that it won't be, like you know what's right or wrong. So this is like a really important time to make the right decision. And it's for yourself. And it's to be in integrity. It's to be empowered by the embetterment in the changes that you can make and the things that you can clean out that you know are more spiritually pure. So it's a very intense energy, and it can feel very slippery for Aries right now. And you're being met with this like strong opportunity for your ego to lead the way and for you to be powerful, but you're also, it's a weird position because not everything that your ego wants is what is best for you. And you have to be honest about the truth of what that analytical equation is in your life. Uranus is playing a great role in this with the trines to the sun, with the sextile to the moon and Neptune. And let's not forget Neptune's right there in the mix too. So like, there's a deep desire, I think, to feel like safer if you can escape in some way, especially in your 12th house, and feeling like it's going to provide you with what you need. And it's like one thing to set high ideals and goals for yourself right now and do every little thing necessary to get there by being really authentic with what is going to be better for you. But it's another thing to think that the little dopamine hit is going to provide the electricity needed to purify your life. So you have to be really smart right now in your actions. And I mean, look, you don't have to do anything, but I would say be smart right now. Tone it down a little bit. Tap in more. See where your intuition is trying to say act on certain things, especially around people, with Venus in your 7th and opposite Chiron in your sign. But Venus is also making good aspects to Jupiter with a trine. It's like there's good things, and even the Venus that's getting ready to square Pluto for the last time in dignity of Libra that we'll ever see in our lives. There's a lot of moving parts here. So, you know, a lot of this could have to do with relationships, with Mars square these nodes, and the nodes being in your 7th and in your 1st, and a solar eclipse that's going to be in your 7th. Like, are you around the right people? Are you telling yourself you are because maybe your ego wants it, but it's not really best for your future, for the things that you're trying to accomplish? You're not getting the support from others that you're looking for. So it's definitely a big, you know, a big check too on like, are people supporting you even if you're going through a tough time? Are they, do the people in your life have your back? Because if they're just, you know, adding salt and throwing salt on the wounds and either telling you you can't be better or you know, something ridiculous like that's a big sign. So you got to really have people in your life right now that feel like family, that feel like home, that are supporting you, that believe in your base and your foundation, believe in the changes you can make. And, you know, don't have high expectations for you either. They just want to see you succeed. And it doesn't matter about how long it takes, doesn't matter how much time. It's just like pure support, balanced energy from people. Those things are going to be great and they can be so helpful, but man, you got to be like, you're getting hit from a bunch of crazy places right now, and it can absolutely feel like a psychological, you know, mind fuck, for lack of a better word. So you got to take some time off too to like center yourself, tap in, and don't overthink things either, because overthinking isn't really going to help in this situation. It's more of a internal, intuitive yes or no, and then trusting and acting instinctively based on that base. Taurus, you got the lunar eclipse in your 11th house. So Sun and Mercury in your 5th, definitely bringing up some questions here. I mean, your ruling planet Venus is in a strong position in your 6th in Libra, but also opposite that Chiron in your 12th, North Node in your 12th, and Mars squaring these nodes. So Interesting position about friends and people with you too, but also your own individuality and kind of making sure that you're ready and able to break certain chains in your life. Uranus in your first wants you to liberate yourself, wants you to definitely be the most unique version of yourself. But this is almost like are you being that unique version of yourself? And are you surrounding yourself with like-minded energy that's in that similar boat? I think with the good aspects to Uranus, it's a good time for you to just do, if it's a shocking thing or if you think you're shocking people, maybe you are. It's good right now. It's almost like if you're just kind of laying low and not sort of ruffling some kind of a feather, are you really being true to your self-expression? And that's an interesting one, especially, with the sun and Mercury in your fifth and like having the courage to speak up about things, not stopping yourself from being free. So it's an interesting like time of like, this could be a very empowering time, but it could also be where you're seeing a lot of things with people that could be making you question yourself and maybe wanting you to like follow suit because you think that that's the right thing and that if you get in line with certain things, it's going to all pan out. But you're kind of being tested to be more rebellious and assert yourself right now. And not from just like an ego-oriented place, but definitely from like a spiritually pure place, from a heart-centered place. Not being afraid of an unknown chapter, not being afraid of, not knowing what's on the other side of the cliff if you're going to make the leap or not, but liberating yourself to make the leap and finding out so that there can be some reinventing going on, because this could definitely feel like a reinvention time, getting the story dialed in, where you're going, what you want to learn, what you want to take in, what you want to share, what you want to communicate, how you're going to make more opportunity come to life and manifest in your life. But that Jupiter is, again, it's making some hard squares over to Mercury and the Sun. And it is square the new moon, too. I'm sorry, the full moon lunar eclipse. So there's this weird, like, place mentally where, especially with a south node in your sixth house, you don't want to overthink your liberation either. Like, you kind of just want to be impulsive about your liberation. But trust that it has the final outcome. That if there's a clear out of people, it's so that you can be more authentically yourself. And so that you can welcome in more authentic connection and more people that are helping you reach your ideals, do something unique with your opportunity, do something unique with what you're trying to create and bring in. And definitely, not putting too much on a mental plane of how it's supposed to look, or being so, maybe critical of yourself or scared to show something unique about yourself, but to just do it. So because I think you could have a lot to, like, you could be a big leader just in your own communities right now, especially if you're authentic within yourself and just not holding back, like, what do you, it's almost like, I think Taurus is like rebelling from a sense of wanting to rebel. Like they're almost like in they don't want to push themselves out of their comfort zone. And this is definitely an opportunity to push yourself out of your comfort zone, to, kind of break routine a little bit, to do something different, and to see how you can shine in that light. And that it doesn't have to be overthought. It has to be believed in. You have to have faith. You have to have faith that you're going to find what you're looking for when you jump off the cliff into the abyss. And, what's that supposed to really look like? We don't know. But interesting time, very mental. You want to quiet your mind right now and just get into a place of feeling like the universe is going to have your back if you're willing to shed certain skin, shed certain people. Just be more unique and true to yourself and feel really confident and secure in that. And even with Mars, which is your 12th house ruler, square these nodes, that the north node's in your 12th. Like you don't want to be stuck in analysis paralysis right now. Especially even with Mars in your third. Like you have to be quick on your feet when the universe opens the door, because it's authentic to you. It feels very unique and special, and like you're having the opportunity to really create something, and taking that and running with it. So you got to trust the universe right now, and you have to trust yourself, and you have to break some chains down. And I think you're seeing where you have a limiter on, and you could feel like you can't break the limiter. The limiter's there. It's just, that's the way it is. And this is your opportunity to courageously go past the limiter, because you have more to give, you have more to do, you have more to create. And the only thing stopping you is yourself and analysis paralysis. All right. Gemini. Full moon lunar eclipse in your 10th. Okay. So this is interesting for Geminis, because I feel like even with Gemini, you have this Pisces 10th house, which is such a sort of sacred calling, for many Gemini out there, something that's very universally special to go after. And I think that you could start seeing like changes that do need to be made. And there's like a karmic clear out on if what you're doing and putting all of your effort into and all your building blocks into and trying to climb in certain areas is working or not. And sure, you could, gaslight yourself all day with Neptune there saying, yeah, it's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It's totally my sacred calling, but is it? Is it really based on a strong foundation of understanding about what is pure deep within you? What feels like it's really going to be something? So it's an interesting clean out, I think, for Gemini, because where there are blocks right now, you can kind of just think it's okay, but is it? Especially when it comes to the things you're trying to accomplish and go after in life. Or is it time to kind of overhaul the situation and make a big change? And maybe it's a change that's more people-oriented, doing more with others, letting more people in, not making it all about yourself, but bringing a high level of authenticity and a high level of courageous action to what needs to disperse. So, interesting there. Mercury, of course, your ruling planet, is starting to square Jupiter. Jupiter's squaring the moon. Mercury's opposite Saturn. So there's a lot going on about this, like, internal understanding of yourself. And if you're going to block yourself from what you know is a deep truth and what you have a lot of information about that is going to help you get to a higher place, accomplish more, even go after more dreams and follow some kind of a sacred calling, but there's almost an ego tied up with Jupiter in your first house that's like, I can do what I want, even if it doesn't feel sacred, even if it doesn't feel pure. I'm going to do this. And you might be able to, but again, it's like, are you just tricking yourself? Are you creating an illusion? Or are you looking at things very true? And from a deeper perspective on that, it's how are you feeling? Not even just thinking, but how are you feeling? Do you feel like what you're doing is bringing purpose into your life? Or do you feel like there's some good adjustments that can be made to either help you identify bigger goals? Or does it need to be a complete, start over? And I think that can be difficult, but I think it's like the start over can be something that brings out so much liberation. And maybe it doesn't have to be a full start over, but it does need, you got to look inwardly about certain things that you want out of life right now and certain accomplishments and goals. Venus is opposite Chiron in your fifth. Pluto's back in the eighth. Just adding to another layer of transformation that's, you've been working on for 16 years now. And now that transformation's fully coming, but is the things that you're really putting your effort into, are they built in around a deeper understanding of yourself and a transformation and getting ready to come out and, show the world what's up? Or are you having certain doubts or not feeling strong or confident enough? Because I think this Venus in your fifth opposite Chiron can be a big confidence check too. Like, do I have the confidence to release certain patterns of things that I thought would get me further, but they're not? So there's a big inner check here, and Uranus is in your 12th, making good aspects, of course, but still. Having you feel maybe a little disconnected from, or maybe you've just been feeling a little disconnected from your intuition or from God in some ways, and this is like saying you got to get back to that by really listening inwardly and not so much outwardly about what people might want from you or society wants from you, but what feels sacred. And with Mars in your second, square the nodes, it's also another big check on having confidence in your values and acting on what you know is the best and what you know is quality without just saying this is good enough. Because if you're just going to identify and feel, kind of comfortable and this is working, it's fine, I don't need to do more, do better, make changes, then you could be in a little stuck place here too, where it's kind of got to shake things up a little bit and go for the liberation. Trust that things are going to be right. Trust that God has your back and that there is some big electricity that could be getting things moving for you. I mean, Uranus is about to come into your first next year, end of 2025, 2026. So there's definitely whoa, there's some electricity building for you. And I think that this is just a good time to realize how much deep power you have to make more of your reality, to accomplish more. But there's also things that you probably put a lot of effort and time into that aren't there. It's an illusion that that's the greatness that you're trying to achieve in life, and that there's better achievements and more greatness out there. So yeah, big inward check on goals and things that need to happen in life to get you further to where you want to go and higher up your mountain. But it's almost like you can't see what the other side's going to look like, but you have to trust your feeling on the matter. And also the data and, what's really going on? What's the base look like? So check in with home base. It's almost like base camp. You got to check in with base camp right now to really see the right changes that you can make in the external world to get you up over the mountain, and to even see if there's another peak on the other side that might be calling for you. So, yeah. Big internal transformation with some big value checks on are you going to liberate more, or are you just going to stay comfortable in what you've identified with? Because if you want to make things bigger and you want to go make things, and really see where the new chapter is going to go, some adjustments probably need to be made. And you don't want to tell yourself everything's fine when deep down you would know that it's not, and that change is good change. Cancer. All right, Cancer. Big. I mean, always full moons are big for you. And of course, a lunar eclipse just always adds to that because the moon's your ruling planet. Mars is in your first house. Square these nodes. Big role. So there's certain stories about yourself that need to go away. Could have built a lot of like rules and a lot of things about how the journey's supposed to go. Maybe just have the itinerary full. But that's even like playing games with yourself. Not everything can be perfectly planned out or identified. And not every time either is your mind going to have everything figured out too. And that's the interesting thing with even Mercury and Jupiter in your 3rd and 12th. And just Jupiter's position for this whole thing. With some T-squares, right, in between the moon and Saturn. There's a lot. With that 15th and 25 degree point of Virgo and Pisces. But like restricting yourself from expansion and almost feeling like the weight of the universe is too hard, when really like you got to explore different opportunities and not stay stagnant with what you know, or not be too worried about having to take detours in life, but kind of embracing detours and using Mars in your first to feel really strong. Mars is in its fall position in Cancer, and for you, you're like the one sign that like Mars in your sign could actually be really helpful, like really solid for taking action and getting things done. And the North Node's in your 10th house, and it's like you can't be afraid of change, and you can't be afraid to make pivots and adjustments and to continuously expand here. But there's also levels too where it's like, what have you expanded too far? What has gone too far, and what needs to go back, be backtracked and re-understood. And I think that it's okay if you need to go back and re-identify something so that you can really achieve something more. But it's like, especially if you think you know it all right now and you're so convinced that you know it all, this is where I think Cancers will be tested, especially with relationships, with Pluto back in the 7th house and Uranus in the 11th, making good aspects. There could be a ton of liberation through expansion, but also through, I think, realizing where you've been overly hopeful that doesn't have a factual base to it. That's just kind of been, this is for sure gonna work. Like the beliefs almost were too strong about some situation in life, or a person, or the whole journey itself. And I think that through a reevaluation of what's true for you, and then acting strongly and making big decisions right now, will help you come to balance. But not only that, it'll help you find the truth of where things can really expand and where things can really be liberating and go. But it's not kind of by playing it safe either. Like you kind of have to take a little bit of risk. So there's like a little bit of risk, and you want to act on it so that you can see where the journey really is going, without staying, too comfortable or stagnant and being like, no, this journey is the journey. That's going to be the one. Venus in your 4th, opposite Chiron in your 10th. It's more of that, just like, I'm just going to stay comfortable. I'm just going to stay secure and safe in this. This story's just fine. But I think you like really have to be strong and have a lot of willpower right now to be like, no, I know it's not, or I know it is, and I'm going to expand on the story, or it's not, and I'm going to change the story, and I'm going to re-identify with different truths that make sense, and find liberation in getting to the objective no matter how you have to get to the objective. Whether it's by going back and circling back around to find a better way and to do something different, or to have the right people in your corner, or whether it's just by charging through. And I think for some of you, this could be beliefs about not being able to just plow through and get to where you need to go, because again, it might not be comfortable to just plow through and get to where you need to go, but also, ones that are like, I'm too scared to turn around and take a detour to get where I need to go. And I think that's where, Cancers have to be very like self-observant, because there's facts about certain things that are showing up in your life, and you just got to trust those facts and understand them and act on them. And I think for you, this can be a really positive clear out of whether it's negative self-beliefs or whether it's grandiose beliefs about what can be done right now. Finding some kind of a center place of what's true and what's not, and making the necessary adjustments so that you can really go after something, so that you can get to the bigger goals, get to the bigger achievements. And I think find a very unique power that maybe you didn't fully realize you were capable or could fully understand. But the only way to do that is to not just play safe and be stagnant right now, but to make the big decisions that have some kind of a factual proof to them. So you have enough, I think, fact and proof, and you can be very confused about it, but that's only because you don't want to see the truth. And sometimes the truth is hard to look at. But if you can look at the truth, I guarantee you'll make the proper adjustments and changes to get to the destination. And you don't want to be afraid of putting in extra work right now to get to where you want to go, because where you want to go could be great. And that's where you want to shift your beliefs. All right, Leo, 8th house. Talk about a karmic cleanout. Leos are getting the karmic cleanout. Saturn in the 8th, Neptune, Moon, big squares to Jupiter in the 11th. It could honestly feel like, I don't know, it feels like very electric. Like you could be feeling like, whoa. Again, I'm just getting smited. It's kind of like smiting energy in some ways for Leo. Like, oh my God, I have to go into this deep, dark, psychological place again so that I can find the light again. And, thank God you are the light, Leo, and the sun's in your 2nd house. And like, you are the light. So it comes back in many ways to clearing out the things that whether it's people, whether it's things you built relationships to. If you are losing trust for something and holding on for the sake of holding on, you got to question that, because is it providing value to your life? Is it upping your confidence? Or are you just trying to hold on? So for you, you have to be very conscious right now of if you're just holding on because you're scared to let go, or if you're holding on because something actually is bringing value and matters and feels good in your life and is making your life better and is making just your whole confidence better. Because if it's not, I think you're literally chaining yourself to something dark and something that doesn't need to be there. So the transformation is huge, but you can also not want to let go of something that's stopping you from a huge growth moment. So this is where Leos have to be, again, very conscious of what you're holding on to. It's okay to let go of something. Not everything's meant to be here forever. And sometimes just, things get old and they wear. And this goes for all things. And there isn't value there anymore. And I think you have to trust yourself that you can create more value, build better connections, better relationships, and to not just think that you need a certain person, place, or thing that is just going to make everything, better and move into a big, abundant future. And there can be these ideals and these hopes about it. Or you could be like, I'm not scared. It's fine. I'll just hold on to this thing. Like it's going to be worth something, crazy in the future. And I think if you're trying to invest, if you're trying to like really invest in something that's going to be great in the future right now, you're probably buying the top or selling the bottom. Because there can be some crazy ideal or just fog around it, and it could look things could look really great right now that are actually spiritually and emotionally and evolutionarily holding you back, and like you're like, it's fine, it's definitely going to be in my future. And I'm just saying, you should be aware that there's probably something that's going to piece out of your life. And that's okay, because you have every bit of light within you to rebuild. And you're probably like, I've already rebuilt something. But it's just fortifying your ability to create. And it really comes from a place of feeling confident and secure. Mars is in your 12th house, square the nodes, in your 3rd and 9th. So it's already like the wheels are spinning. And I think a lot of this comes down to like really self-belief and trust in the universe, that you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself. You can do the thing, but you can overthink things right now. You can try and get way too factual or analytical about something. And for you, it's more of an intuitive action. Being like, I know this isn't good for me. It's dragging me down. Even though I love it maybe and I want it so badly, I have to be willing to cut ties and part ways. And I think for Leo, if you can cut ties and part ways right now, you're just helping yourself in the long run. It will bring more confidence because you'll feel like you can do it. You'll feel like you can really tap into your intuition and trust your intuition and trust the process and the journey. Because there's Uranus in the 10th wants to definitely liberate you for better things. It's trying to take you as high as possible. And it's making great aspects. But if you can't, think positively and think about how you can really go after the things you want, but realizing that you can't do it with certain things that you already have, you could feel really just not feeling confident, not feeling, strong, and feeling kind of like the universe is out to get you. Like this could definitely feel like some extreme, why me? I'm going to just wallow in pity. Don't. I'm just telling you, like, things are going to leave because they're meant to leave. And it's just making room for new. It's making room for better. And you have to be able to, I think, relate to the feelings of your mind and relate to your values and be able to make adjustments without a negative mindset or a negative belief, while simultaneously in a kind of a whirlwind of like, what is good for me long term? What isn't good for me? What do I need to let go of? Look, the things that you need to let go of are going to be obvious. It'll be obvious. You'll feel it, you'll know it, you'll see it. And just be okay with letting go of it. And don't think that it's going to stunt your growth, because it's actually not. It's just here to kind of help you expand and grow and trust your intuition and believe in yourself and create. So big transformation, big clear out, especially for Leo during this time, which isn't a bad thing. Virgo, you get a lunar eclipse in your 7th house. So, I mean, definitely, brings up relationships, interpersonal relationships, people, things that we have relationships to. Could be a lot of things. But mainly a lot of people for Virgo right now. Like, there's definitely a clean out of, like, people and what ideals people might put on you. And if people have big expectations for you right now, with Neptune there, or they're not seeing you in your true form, I mean, that can be really hard too. That could, be something that is like detrimental to you identifying yourself right now. And happy birthday, Virgo, by the way. So there's definitely people in life right now that I think want to support you, want to see you grow. They don't necessarily need to get cleansed in this time, but there's other people that do. There's definitely relationships, whether it's romantic or not, that it's just not working out. Maybe there was an ideal or an hope for something, and maybe it's just not there. And with Mercury, your ruling planet, in your first, you're going to want to identify strongly with certain thoughts about where things are going, starting to square Jupiter, opposite Saturn. And I do feel like, you could feel like there's a lot of weight and pressure on yourself to maybe people please. And I don't think Virgos should be people pleasing right now. Virgos need to, like, if people are pressuring you, that's a pretty big sign. So it's all about support. Who's supporting your mental game? Who's supporting the actions you're trying to take? If you're not getting that, there's a reason for it. And a lot of this could be, super empowering. And you got a lot of stuff just going on in, like, some houses that are asking you to just make calls for yourself, to focus on yourself. And you'll find trust with Mars in the 11th in the right groups and the right people and the right identifications through that second 8th house axis with the North Node in your 8th. So, like, there's definitely people you can trust. You might feel like you can't trust anybody right now. And I would say for sure, Virgos, there's people out in your life right now you cannot trust. They look like they have your best interest in mind, and they don't. And you could feel like your trust is being broken in some sense, and you have to clam up. And really, it's more of a self-security thing. You need to feel secure in yourself so much that whether people come or go, that you trust yourself and that you can trust the right people, because some people are showing up, and you got to just know who's on that level with you. And it might be more of a vibrational thing, and this can really help you invent just new positive ways of relating, new positive groups, a frequency shift. Jupiter's in your 10th. The right people will help you accomplish goals. But that's the thing with that square with Jupiter to Saturn and the moon too. And even to the sun and Mercury is the the things that you identify about yourself right now are a big deal. And the things that you identify about others right now are a big deal. And for you, the right people make a huge difference, and you have to be strong enough in yourself to know what's right and what's wrong with others. Venus is opposite Chiron in your second. I don't know. It's like, it's almost like too, like trust could have been broken, and it's like, it could make you doubt yourself. So it's definitely not a time to doubt yourself or feel bad about yourself. Like, there's so much growth right now that you can identify with and feel good about that can help you accomplish goals, and that can help you have better relationships, and that can help you find a lot of uniqueness in your self. So, interesting time for Virgo, because you're having to make big, like, decisions, and it might be hard to make those decisions. Might feel like you have to let people down. And you know what? You might have to let people down. But the ones that believe in you and trust in you and are literally like having their best interest out for what you want to do and your goals and your uniqueness, they're going to be there. And they're going to be the ones that are going to, especially with this 8th house stuff, like be the ones that hold, stick like glue. Uranus is in your 9th, making good aspects, so definitely not all that bad, but it's like not everybody's going to be able to connect with you on your journey, and like you got to be okay with that. And, really just keep expanding and growing your journey right now and exploring your beliefs and liberating yourself to go further, to go farther. So a lot of it's, you don't have to do it on your own. People want to be here with you and they want to help you, but there's also people that don't want to help you and that can take your confidence down. And you want to find people that are embracing who you are and uplifting you. And you could be on a really good path right now. But, be careful about who you trust right now too, because not everybody's going to have your best interest in mind. And they might need to be the ones that get cleaned out. So, I don't know. People, it's definitely a people lunation for you, Virgo. And you got to be in a place where you can very strongly identify what's balanced and what's pure and what's not good for you, and be able to work with the right people. So it's like crucial upon that. Happy birthday, Libra. 6th house, lunar eclipse. 12th house, Virgo season. This could be a wily one for the Libras. You already have the South Node in your sign. Sun, Mercury are in the 12th. There's already a lot changing, and it can be a very confusing time for your own ego and your own identification of who you are. It could also be a very, potent time of realizing that people in your life with the North Node in your 7th and Chiron there are such a great reflection and showing you, really empowering things about yourself. But sometimes it's a little difficult and you're having to really clean up your reality and like let some things fade away. Because if you think that your routine and your health and everything is just going perfectly according to plan, there's probably going to be some hiccups and some things that are showing you that it's not actually pure to you spiritually. And maybe just in the physical world it could look like it is, but there's definitely like spiritual signs, emotional signs, and even some, mental stuff, some psychological signs that are trying to be pretty beneficial here. And you got to be able to like clean out the closet right now. It can almost feel like there's ghosts in the closet. Venus too, you're ruling planet's opposite Chiron. So I just feel like too, there's like a almost lack, it's a definitely, lack of confidence in some way to make the necessary changes in your day-to-day life that are going to provide better connection, better relationships. But also you have to be relating to yourself at a really high level too. Venus is in your sign right now in the 1st. So you can't put all your eggs in that other people are going to be everything right now. But you have to make big decisions with Mars in your 10th house and act on things that you want to build on by knowing what's good for you and what's not good for you, and what's relating well with you and what's not relating well with you, and whether it's a person, place, or thing. Is it pure and is it clean? And is it something that you can really connect to? And Jupiter's in your 9th, which is a great spot to have Jupiter, but it's definitely, everything's so open right now. Like there's not a lot of boundaries. set up for you. So it's like you also have to know what's yours and what's not yours without just identifying with everything that somebody else's. So it's a little tricky, and you got a lot in the 12th and the 6th and the 9th with Jupiter making these squares. So there's like a little bit of anxiety, very mental, but also very intuitive. So it's a little bit of both. So big like tests on like seeing things for what they are and not just saying everything's okay, but also not beating yourself up because maybe things aren't going the way you planned. But maybe people are here to help you. Maybe the little bit of advice you got from somebody was a big, wow, that was a really good golden nugget. Like the universe could be sending people into your life right now to give you little golden nuggets to help you expand. But if you're just putting, yourself in the I know it all position right now, I have it all figured out, you could definitely be getting tested right now, and it could show up in different ways, health, day-to-day life, work, how your schedule's working out for you. Like, definitely have to trust your body. Because the mind's kind of racing over all sorts of different scenarios and different feelings and trying to understand a lot. And at the same time feeling very, especially with Mercury opposite Saturn, kind of like stuck. There's a little bit of paralysis for you too. So you got to make big decisions about what's best for you. And definitely make sure that your relationships are empowering you. And that you can empower yourself too. And be confident to make choices right now that are better. So it's definitely like, it's not just any choice. It's like very responsible choices about what's pure and what's purifying you. Because I think if you make the right choices right now and like you kind of do what the universe is like hoping you would do, and maybe not just what you as an ego want to do, I think that you're going to see there's a lot of like, wow, great. I have a lot of energy and opportunity right now to go after things that I want, to go after the people that I want to be around. And there could be a lot of strength found right now. And I think, you got to get rid of some bad habits, whether it's mental, thought-based bad habits, or whether it's physical bad habits. You're going to want to like let that stuff go big time and not overthink it too much. Just do it. Scorpio. 5th house. Lunar eclipse. So this is an interesting one for you, Scorpio, because it's in your 5th, which is a heavy ego identification, creative actualization place. It's also, of course, romance, love, happiness, joy. But there's all, with Neptune here and a lunar eclipse and Saturn even, it's like you're probably realizing that a lot of things that made you happy or that you loved might be evaporating before your eyes. And again, this is something you want to identify and realize, because where you're losing passion for certain things is trying to make room for more creative authority and more passion in your life. But don't keep doing something just for the sake of doing it. Like, you really do want it to have some kind of a liberating effect, some connective effect too. And if it's just all about you, that could be something too, where you're realizing like, wow, every time I just put all of this in for me, and it isn't about a community or it isn't, helping others, that it's actually just, it goes nowhere. So I think right now, like you're in a big test of like, can you give more to others? Can you make changes? Can you let go of things that you used to be really passionate about, that you used to be really in love with, and that used to feel really creative and connected? Are they still feeling that way? If not, they gotta find a way out. And you got to kind of take the responsibility to create new from what you've learned, from how much you've grown. Mars is one of your ruling planets. Pluto is one of your ruling planets. Mars is square those nodes in your 12th with the south node. Square the 6th house, north node. I mean, this is like a big check. I feel like Scorpios are getting a major like whoa. Like whoa. Like I'm having to relearn new ways of presenting myself, showing myself, creating. I'm having to find new passions. I'm having to like the journey could feel like it's taking big steps right now. Because there's like proof in the reality and proof in the connection and proof in certain things and proof mentally even with Pluto back in the third of like, oh my God, there's so much fact that I can't just simply believe in something. I have to identify with the truths so that I can create more and go further. And I think that can be really beneficial, but I also think that it's a mind game that you're playing with yourself about how much you want to like hold on to something, how much you want to keep something going that just isn't cultivating a good reality. It's actually just you keeping your wheels spinning, not letting you progress, feeling like the universe shut the door and you're just hitting it. It's locked. It's not going to open. So you have to really like identify with yourself on a very deep level about what you really want. Jupiter's in your 8th, which I think is, again, like trying to help more transformation take place, trying to help you see deeper into the truth of things. But it's making these squares, which is like, I don't want to see that truth. I don't want to go through the transformation. I want to just stay in the thing that has always made me happy, even if it's not making me happy right now. So for you, it's just like there's so much fact and so much truth, and you can see so deeply into things. It's very black and white, but I feel like there's mental games that you're playing with yourself that are stopping you from really connecting to something bigger and better and reinventing certain passions that are really going to light up your soul, light up your heart, and bring out a creative nature that's, could be unmatched. But it's like, this is like some typical Scorpio stuff here of like, I don't want to let go. Mine. Forever until the next life. Well, the next life is now. The other life died. And this eclipse is saying, yeah, the next life is now. And you're going to have another, lunar eclipse in Pisces. So the more you can shed certain things that you thought were the big identification of who you are and your creative authority and power, now the better. Because it's just going to broaden the journey and open things up and I think help you really merge with really potent energy in your life. People that want to be there for you, do more for community, do more for, be more of service. And I think that that's really special, but it's a big like ego check and like a identification of where you thought everything was heading. It could be shifting now in a big way. And Uranus is in your 7th, so it's like, if we're talking romance, like people could be changing, shifting. It could feel like roulette with people. And I think it's all a frequency thing. It's a big frequency thing. Like, are people bringing more happiness and joy into your life? And are they exciting you? Or are they just triggering you so that you can see a part of yourself that needs to change? That's probably more it than anything. Venus is in your 12th, opposite Chiron in your 6th. I mean, I feel like there's like this fantasy, like you have this like fantasy identification of yourself and the things that you want and what you want to connect to. And it's just like seeing that maybe that fantasy, that identification was just an illusion, and you just be okay with it and realize that a new chapter is ready to kick off for you. There's so much more to identify and create for you. You're a powerhouse of creative authority. So just don't stay stuck in something. Just be cool with letting things die. And I think if you can let parts of you die that are not bringing you value or showing up in your life on a day-to-day basis, that's like purifying and cleaning things out and making you feel like you are getting dialed in to your best self, just enough. Enough. All right, Scorpio. Sagittarius, 4th house. Anyways, the little banner's kind of in the way, but it'll do. Whatever, you know it's there. All right, 4th, 10th. I mean, this could definitely be dealing with certain home dynamics, family dynamics. A lot of it's an interior foundation dynamic, though, but there could be change of home taking place. You know, potentially just feeling like you got to move on. Maybe from certain things that you felt safe with, felt secure. Like, the foundation's definitely eroding a little bit, Sag. And I think it's a great opportunity to see where things aren't, you know, dialed in. Like, if you have to move, you have to move. If you need to fix your house, fix your house. If you need to spend, you know, more time with family, spend more time with family. But there's definitely like change here that's like, you can't go after these big goals in the 10th house. You can't, you know, achieve more with a really loose foundation within yourself. And it could just be emotional stuff. It could be about your own inner confidence, just how you feel about yourself. Like, you kind of got to make some changes inwardly to get the results outwardly that you might be looking for. And again, it could be other things like family and home too, but what's going on inward? That's where you're getting cleansed. It's almost like an enema. Cleansed out from deep down. And I think that it's okay to like let that change take place. Because again, you can't accomplish your greatest things unless you're feeling at home in yourself. So the things about yourself that you might be feeling that are not letting you, you know, expand and grow to your greatest potential, those need to go. If you're believing something about yourself that's not true, those need to go. Like, base these things around truth for yourself. Jupiter, of course, is your ruling planet, so it's a big deal, especially with the aspects it's making right now, and even to Venus with a trine. But people, too. You know, very interesting aspects with people for you, and like different relationships, and there could be a lot of opportunities, but one, are these people helping you with your own foundation, or are they trying to cultivate a foundation for you? Are these people helping you go after goals, or are they just doing everything for you? So I think it's an interesting thing where it's like you need to be definitely kind of being able to do things for yourself right now and make decisions and go after things and make inward changes. But it's, you know, you don't have to believe what everybody else thinks or says either. Somebody else has a great idea. That's one thing to incorporate it into your foundation or your peak in life, but don't think you need to change everything about yourself either just because of somebody else's belief system or, you know, what they think is best. And likewise with Venus, like, again, when people have really good ideas and you feel it and you know it, that's great. Put that into action. But you got to remember to be identifying things for yourself. With Mars in your 8th, being able to really inwardly understand and intuitively act powerfully for what is going to bring you more identification of where you want to go, the right connections, the right people. There's a lot of pressure on people. A lot of 11th house, 7th house, 8th house, 5th house. There's either like a really perfect mesh right now of people in your life that are helping you and helping you break barriers and expand and grow, or there's people who are like literally trying to put the law down on you and kind of, stunt your personal growth, which is only going to stunt the growth of your achievements and the things that you want to really identify and love. So you got to check that too. Venus is opposite Chiron. It's so funny for you. People are like either this huge benefic in your life, or they're coming across as a benefic only to help chip away at your foundation and your confidence and hold you back. And, almost like they want to keep you where they want you. So it's a big opportunity for Sag to like take a big step up, but you got to like get rid of some kind of subconscious belief system about what is safe and secure too, and not be afraid to move forward, to not be afraid to grow with others, to trust others, but to still trust yourself above all, and to find your passion again. Because I think this is a good opportunity to find what you're passionate about and to not just do what everybody else is doing because it's safe. You can really make some big decisions for yourself right now, but it's up to you if you want to do it. Uranus making big aspects, of course, in your 6th. I mean, I think the more like sort of shocking and sort of whoa that you could be right now in your day-to-day life and kind of like, I don't know, free too. And almost like not box yourself into a crazy schedule. Like you kind of have you could have a lot more, I mean, you're Sag, right? Freedom to roam and to explore. But this is also freedom to grow internally, freedom to grow for yourself, to empower and better yourself, and to create unique things in your day-to-day life that other people might not understand and might not get, but they just feel right to you. And I think that's something that's extremely beneficial right now. But again, like it might not feel like it's even the safest thing for you right now, but you're redefining what maybe a safe thing is. And kind of like, I think there's a good opportunity for you to push your limits. So you're in an interesting position, Sag, where certain limits can be pushed, I think, to help you merge deeper with a sense of security and a sense of passion that can really help you accomplish something big. But like you got to get rid of like a feeling of inadequacy around it, because you're definitely adequate enough to handle it. Even Pluto back in your 2nds, like remember, you're becoming very confident and secure and creative, and you can manifest, and don't feel like you can't. You got to feel like you can. Capricorn, you get a lunar eclipse in your 3rd. Super mental axis, but this is definitely like a mental clean out in many ways. And it's probably a lot of the ways that you think about yourself, feel about yourself, things that you feel about community, people in your life. It's a great opportunity to stop playing small ball mentally too, and to just let go of certain little things that have come up that you think are big things, because this is where you can also overstew and get so caught up on little things that they're just wrecking you. And you need to like get over the little stuff. Let the little stuff go. This is a great time for expansion. But it's more of it's not so much expansion in some sense of accomplishment or achievement. It's more of an expansion with the North Node in your 4th and Mars squaring that and squaring the South Node in your 10th. It's more of an expansion of like the things you can identify and do with others, or the things that you can do in your community. So it's very interesting. I think Capricorns are going to have a huge mind shift about what they can be doing right now and what they can be talking about, certain just inward truths about themselves that are going to help them expand and grow. And it's not so much for recognition, it's more for learning more about yourself and being able to relate that to others in a powerful way. And of course, Saturn, your ruling planet's, right there in the mix. So it's so like, there can be some thing where you just want to think small about something right now because you think, oh, it's almost like too narrow on something that doesn't matter. Like whether it's some 10th house stuff with all this 10th house, some kind of a big dream or goal or something you want to accomplish. It's almost like you're thinking too small with that stuff right now because the stuff that's inward, internalized about who you are, how you feel, those are the things that are the most powerful right now. And those are the things that deserve the most focus. Because that's where the growth is supposed to be happening. And that's where you'll be able to have better relationships, better achievements that will take place. Pluto's definitely coming back in to give you one more test of like, have you made the growth? Are you going to stop even playing small ball? Are you going to realize how powerful you are? But you got to be able to think bigger and think better about yourself and release the outdated truths about yourself that are no longer part of a foundation that's going to get you where you need to go. Jupiter is in your 6th house. There has to be changes made to the little things, the day-to-day stuff, your schedules. Like, there's just a lot of like inward things that have to be understood and like really importantly understood so that you can let go of the stuff that is trash. There's trash. There's stuff that you think that's holding you back. So it's such a mental eclipse for Capricorn. Almost thinking that you could just, even just thinking that one little thing that you do is going to make the biggest difference in your life is probably not going to work out either with these squares. It's like little things over time that you stay consistent for and that you rewire your mind to a better way of being will create the big change and the big expansion. Venus opposite Chiron. Like feeling too like your self-worth is completely only tied to a big goal or achievement, and if you don't, hit certain goals or achievements, that you're just nothing. Don't do that. This is like, you have to come to a place of such self-authority in yourself and in your relationships, and especially the relationship to yourself and the things that you want to do, that there is no inadequacies. It's all just adequacies. So there's like a big truth rewiring for Capricorn right now of like just empowering, just being blunt and honest with the truth that's here and not fabricating a truth, not creating some big crazy story, but definitely a positive way of thinking and then doing the things over and over and over again and expanding how many times. And it's like repetitions. Capricorn has to repetition the things in their life right now that they want to happen and to do them precisely and accurately and to not slip on them and to not overthink them too. Not so much about overthinking it. It's like you just got to be able to put effort into everything right now that you want to put your relation, that you want a relationship with, be it anything. It's got to come from a place of feeling safe, secure, strong, abundant, and just continuously repetize. And then I think you'll be a well-oiled machine for that. I really do. Uranus is making good aspects in your 5th house. And I love that. And I think that like that's where it's like a whole unique way of being, where it's not so much just the thing, but it's the process. And it's enjoying the process and feeling creative in the process and seeing how the journey can progress without limiting yourself or stopping you're stopping the journey just to stop the journey because you have to like make sure you read the sign right. So, yeah. Aquarius, second house. Well, this is an interesting one for Aquarius because I feel like this could have to do with certain things financially right now. Definitely could have to do with like, again, certain things that you've also really held on to that you thought were like really worth a lot and valued so much that just aren't it anymore. And it's like you can kind of feel like the universe is taking a lot of things from you that you might really love, that you might really identify with and hold dear. But it's like those things that are kind of evaporating in life right now, and they're probably literally like physical things. Were they really are they of value in the future? And that's the thing, is like you don't know until you get there. I mean, maybe you do, Aquarius, but you got to be okay with letting things go. And I think that that's really the polarity here, similar to like what Scorpio is going through. Like, you got to be okay with letting things go. You got to be okay too with like getting a new appraisal of your self-worth. And maybe too it's like where you had your self-worth was good, but guess what? The market value went up on yourself and your appraisal's now up here. And I think you need to remember that too, is like, just because the value was one thing or just because of your self-worth was at one place doesn't mean that it can't continuously grow. But you don't want to stay stagnant either. So it's like, it's either, okay, things are just bouncing right now so that you can reevaluate what's really good, what's really of value in life, or you can reevaluate yourself and appraise yourself at a higher place. And I think that that's an interesting place for Aquarius right now, is like, maybe it's not just about losing, but maybe it's like you've been losing because you're not valuing yourself enough and you're not trusting yourself enough. So interesting place for Aquarius to be right now. Uranus, your ruling planet, Saturn, your other ruling planet, both playing big roles. And I think more than anything, like, this is where like you have to know your worth. You have to know your value. You have to know that you can get more. You can invest yourself to get more, to merge more with what you want, to merge more with a strong sense of who you are, and to make the necessary inward changes to feel better. And to not feel like if things are leaving that it's just, oh my God, it's over. It's not over. It's just that you weren't valuing yourself enough anyways. So now reevaluate and connect more with like the best version, the best quality of yourself. Venus in your 9th, opposite Chiron, Mars in your 6th, square the nodes. I mean, Mars 2 in your 6th is like really strong for getting things done and handled. But it's got to do it here from like not just a willy-nilly on some little adventure place. It's got to do it from like this is true. This is my true evaluation. This is my true worth. This is my true nature. So there's like really identifying with the best things you can do for yourself to give yourself more net worth, more soul capital. And I think to really be careful about the things you say to yourself, like, and your own self-beliefs. Are your self-beliefs based around a negative truth about yourself and a negative self-worth? Or are they based around really being positive and being like, wow, I am actually worth so much, and I have all these facts that have shown up time and time again for myself that are better. And Pluto's back in your 12th too, like very karmically back in your 12th. Like, whoa. Didn't miss you and, being in my 12th. But here you are, cleansing me one more time. So it's a very spiritual cleanse that's manifesting in a lot of physical ways. And just trying to get you ready to really find out who you are, and I think really know yourself better and praise yourself better. And I think that's the biggest thing for Aquarius right now, is to definitely stop a routine of like not valuing yourself enough. Like, let go of that bullshit. Jupiter, in your 5th house, I think definitely trying to pump you up, definitely trying to pump the ego up a little bit and have you feel more creative and in tune. But I don't know, you got to be willing to, I think, to rise up and to not, again, block yourself because you're too afraid to let go of a version of yourself that's already on its way out anyways. Pisces, you get a new moon in your 1st. Yeah, this is definitely a big shift of ego, and I'm sorry, new moon. It's a full moon lunar eclipse in your 1st, okay? This is definitely a big ego clearing out of ego. But it could be a really good thing because it can be a very empowering place where you're able to relate to people better, understand others better, and you kind of have to like be willing to not be first right now. And I think like there's a part of you that just needs to be sent off anyways. And this could definitely be that sort of like send off, because you could think or have such a strong identification right now to this is exactly who I am. And you could start to see, and maybe you've already started to feel it, like, wow, there's some really big changes coming about the way I identify with things, who I think I am, who I feel I am. And I think that it's a really maturing thing right now to be able to let an old version of yourself go. And I think that, people in your life are a good reflection of like a solid version of you, a pure version of you. And what's it look like when you're around people, and like, how do people treat you? If they don't treat you good, it's probably because that person definitely, that identity just wasn't working. But are they treating you with, respect and giving you the credit you deserve? And that means you're growing into the person you're going to be, and you can really let an older version of yourself go. Neptune is your ruling planet. It's here with the new moon, or I keep saying new moon, with the lunar eclipse. That's a big deal. Even Jupiter, both your ruling planets, just big aspects to this. And again, it's Jupiter in the 4th, Neptune in the 1st. Like, so much of this is an ego. It's a big ego check, Pisces. You just want to be okay with getting your ego checked right now, and to realize how much growth and expansion you're about to come up on, and how much better it's going to help you relate to the world, to people, to others, to have better relationships, to know yourself better, to have a better relationship to yourself, to have a better foundation within yourself, to see how much is really in there. But it wasn't an old version of yourself. It's now, and you just let the need to be right, let it go. You don't need to be right. In fact, somebody else might have a better answer, and you might learn something, and that might be a core value that you learned. Like, wow, that's a new core value. I love that. I believe that about myself. You don't need, you don't need to have all the answers or be right now. You need to be willing to like listen and grow and take what you can get from everything that's happening in your life. Mars is in your 5th, which is great. But again, it's kind of like pumping up this ego, pumping up this identity, which can be a good thing if that identity is rooted in the self-worth and the self-value. But if it's just rooted in, I want to be right, I want to get what I want to do what I want, want to just, I'm going to manipulate to get what I want, I'm going to trick people, well, then it's definitely, I think, going to backfire and, be that check for you. But there's also some really good things, I think, for this too, about like self-realization, really learning value, but almost relearning value for yourself too. Relearning the things that are good, the things that are beneficial, and the things that are ultimately worth identifying with, that are helping you create better with others, that are helping, very much create better with others, And it's not by being a know-it-all. It's by being, I think, really open to like learning about yourself right now. So it's more about learning and not staying stuck in a version that's already evaporating. So really like building a really, good foundation with the new energy that's coming. And I think letting others have their say, and Uranus in the third, making good aspects. Venus in the 8th, opposite Chiron. And two, like, I feel like there is that relationship side of things with Virgo season here too, where it's like, you could be really like also expecting people to show up in a certain way, and they're not. Or wanting to put all your value, all your worth into something else, someone else. The people that show up for you right now, that support you, that want to help you grow, help you build that foundation, they're there for you. Again, the people that don't take what other people are doing or how they're, fully showing up right now as everything. But you know what? Listen to the stuff that matters. You got to find a balance between like a boundary with people, but also letting people into your space so that you can learn about yourself. So it's interesting because of that. And even Pluto back in your 11th is like, what kind of people are you hanging around? Is that really what you want to identify with? Are you identifying with the right connections, the people that are uplifting you and teaching you and being a positive influence on your subconscious, on your emotional base, and on just your base as a person right now? So very interesting stuff. So yeah. Cool. We did it. Appreciate you all. Nice. We had a nice little showing for this live. Outstanding. Sounded like your dad. I mean, yeah, sometimes that's like kind of Capricorn of me. I don't want to I'm not trying to be nobody's dad. I have a son. I'm his dad. With the sun signs, it's funny. I'm a little harsher with the sun signs than I am with like the collective horoscope. For whatever reason, I definitely like try and drill the like harder stuff a little bit more, because I want people to hear that stuff instead of just pumping people up. I love to pump you guys up, and I try to have a good balance of that in the dailies. But with the sun signs, I kind of try to just hit people where they don't want to hear it. Kind of like, oh, you want sun signs? This is what this is, hey, take that. How's that? Anyways. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you feel like you need it. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I definitely have some other stuff I got to do today. It's a busy Monday. Got things happening. I'm going to get out of here. I have to leave the house. So if these aren't timestamped by the time I get back, if somebody just like, it's like, oh, I'd love to timestamp these videos for you, then I'll do it tonight. So don't freak out if there's no timestamps for a little bit of the day. I'll be back in a few hours and I'll do it. But yeah, I hope everybody has a good Lunar eclipse, it's a karmic clean out for sure. And I think there's a lot of revolutionary things that we're going to find through this clean out. Is like things are leaving for a reason so that new things can come in. And there's a lot of new beginnings getting ready to start. And I think that there's just a lot of, whether it's new people, new connections, new identification, there's so much right now that we're having to be okay with not being around, so that we can really, really just be in a flow. We almost have like way too high of ideals and expectations for everything right now. And I think the universe is going to test us a little bit on being able to let go of some of these things. And it's going to be really positive if we can. And of course, I'll do a full horoscope on that for tomorrow. But appreciate you guys. Have a great, 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 great day. Much love. Peace.